Good morning, viewers, and welcome to Anakazi Online Conversations. Today's conversation is focusing on village banking. My name is Mwansa Mutati. I'm head of personal and business banking at Stanbic Bank. In our midst today, we're privileged to have Mrs. Susan Mulikita. Mrs. Susan Mulikita is a renowned legal practitioner. She's a businesswoman. She was also the first woman CEO of Liquid Telecom. In addition, Mrs. Susan Mulikita is the Woman of the Year Award winner for 2020 for the Stanbic Anakazi Women Awards. Good morning, our wonderful viewers, our Anakazi banking viewers. Morning to you and welcome to this webinar, the Anakazi banking webinar that is focusing today on village banking. This is based on popular demand. A lot of you have asked about conversations around village banking, and we're here to have that discussion this morning. And I'm honored and privileged today to be with Mrs. Susan Mulikita. Susan, it's an honor to have you with us on this webinar to talk to our Anakazi viewers, any other women viewers around the country around village banking. Mrs. Susan Mulikita is a renowned legal practitioner. She is a businesswoman. She was the first woman CEO of Liquid Telecom. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
She is also the Anakazi Woman of the Year for Stanbic Bank in the year 2020. So well done for that as well. We're really, really proud of you and honored to have you on this program today. So as mentioned, the topic is village banking. And as you may all know, village banking has a rich cultural history. Village banking started way back. Our grandmothers, our mothers started from the village, as the name goes with it. Started from a village when village women would get together to just make sure that they support one another. And that's really, really important. And I know that there's some key pillars around village banking that are deemed really, really critical for a village banking community to actually be able to succeed, which is issues around participation, the rules that govern the village banking, the bookkeeping, and obviously growing that village bank as well. Tell us about your experience around village banking, Susan.
Well, thank you very much, Mwansa. I'm very privileged and feel quite honored to be invited to speak at this forum. Also, thank you very much for how you have introduced me. It sounds very surreal when you hear somebody speak about you, but thank you very much. My gratitude goes to a whole lot of people out there for me to be where I am and to finally end up as the 2020 Stanbic Anakazi Woman of the Year. So thank you. Thank you very much.
We're very proud of you. Thank you.
May I just say that I also belong to a village banking group too, actually. And when I speak with experience. The very first group that I belong to has been in existence for 4 to 5 years now. And right from the beginning, when we started the group, we decided that it was going to be a group of integrity and that members would have to join upon recommendation of an existing member who we would have vetted, and we know what sort of person this person would be. So we developed a constitution with strong rules on membership, on contribution towards the existence of the group. That is a social fund where we care for people in the event of death or illness for the members and their close associates or relatives. We also look at instances when a person can be booted out of the group. It has to happen. What happens in the event of a person defaulting? Thankfully, in the 4 years that we've had the group running, we have had no default in the sense that at the end of the year, we've paid out all the monies that members have brought in, including interest. The Constitution itself also speaks into penalties. There are penalties for different offenses that a member can commit, such as missing the meetings, a single meeting, 2 meetings or 3 meetings, coming late, not contributing, which is saving, and being antisocial, so to speak. We do provide for all of that. So that has helped this very group to continue to thrive
Right.
For the 4 years that we've had it. It's a big group, currently a membership of 100.
Right.
Yes, and because of the rules that we've instituted, and because as a group we've decided that the EXCO will continue to run the group to avoid changes that will possibly give rise to problems within the group, we've seen that the group has thrived. And so 4 years down the road, members are benefiting from the group.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So the key one that that has made your group of 100 plus succeed for so many years is that you've got rules that govern your village bank, and that the members obviously abide by those rules. Right.
So upon joining, you have to accede to the constitution in writing.
Okay.
You have to deposit your ID details, your copy of your NRC, and you have to indicate who your guarantor is in writing. And for people with spouses, we normally ask you to get the consent of your spouse to take care of any eventualities.
Right.
Yeah, and also we just want to know that whatever you're doing, your spouse is agreeable with. Yes, if you are borrowing, whether you've discussed it at home or not, we know that at least your spouse is aware of, your spouse or your next of kin is aware of what you're doing. Yeah. And I think why it has also succeeded is because the members have seen the benefits of belonging to that group. So they will bring their money and they'll be allowed to borrow 3 times of what they've saved until the time they are borrowing, with some appreciable interest. Our interest is currently sitting at 10%. Is it 10 or 20%? In order to allow the women to pay back over a period of time, from 3 months to 1 whole year of repayment. Yeah.
Now, obviously, you'll also be aware that with our focus on women and our focus on growing the woman, and in this case, our Anakazi banking proposition, we have a Chilimba savings account that is really, really tailored towards supporting women, because we realize and appreciate that village banking being what it is, and village banking having grown so much in this market and many other markets too. But it's embedded itself in our market as such a significant proposition that we wanted to make sure that we support the village banking groups from a saving perspective, from a bookkeeping perspective, from ensuring that the rules with regards to who will handle the cash is actually dealt with regards to ensuring that you can be able to monitor the ins and outs on those accounts through this Chilimba savings account that we have. Tell us about, given what I've said around banking and the Chilimba savings, and I'm also aware that one of your groups actually has been banking with Stanbic over the years. Tell us about your experience.
Yes, so over the years and the membership growing, we started to see the money we were handling grow. Previously, we would actually go with your 20 pin, I would go with my 20 pin, another member would go with a 50 pin, 80 pin in your handbag to the venue, to the meeting venue, where we even actually bought a money counting machine because we were handling too much money. Count it through the machine.
A money counting machine?
Yes, because we're handling too much money. Count it and put it in pins and rubbers, the way the banks do it, and then carry it in bags, make sure that we escort each other to make sure that there's no robbery.
No one's following you behind.
I mean, we're quite apprehensive. Members wouldn't know when the meeting is, where the venue is, for fear of getting that information in the wrong hands. So members would only be told that the meeting is on by midnight or in the morning. That's when they would know and start to figure out which location it is. But we realized that itself was quite unsafe for the people who were handling the cash. So earlier on, we decided to open a bank account. And thankfully, Stanbic is the only bank that warmed up to the idea. We approached several banks and they were asking us to do so many different things. And it was difficult for us. So Stanbic agreed and we opened a bank account with Stanbic. So right now, that particular group banks with Stanbic. All transactions are actually done online from my account, from any member's account into that bank account. And when loans are being disbursed, they come straight from that bank account to your bank account. That itself has given us a sense of security. And in terms of tracking transactions, it's very easy to track the transactions as opposed to have people come in with the money. We would spend the whole day in one house, somebody's house, counting, making sure we balance and everything. But this has given us added security. And the upside of it all also is that a lot of women have now known how to undertake online banking, internet banking. Previously, they were just not about it. They would not even try because they thought it's something really difficult. But now they're doing it and they feel very liberated that they can actually transact for anything online. So as opposed to it just being a village banking with the concept of me bringing money in order to borrow, it's now given women the freedom that they need to be able to do whatever they want online.
And I also assume that, you know, with your group in particular, and making reference to your example, that, you know, yes, you know, you can be able to track loans that are being dispersed. You can be able to see who's making what transfers into that account. But also from a savings perspective, there's, you know, some interest that then adds on to, you know, whatever residual balance that stays onto the account. Yeah.
That's so true. And because we are such a transparent group, any monies that accrue to that account are split between all the members. And the members are happy to benefit from that. So apart from just the security that it's given us, it's given the members the confidence that when the money is given to an ExCo member, the ExCo member doesn't use that money for their own benefit and then replace it later. The money goes straight into the bank account. And any withdrawals or any disbursements will have to be approved by 2 members at least, 2 ExCo members. So there's no way I'm going to use that money without the knowledge of the group or abuse it without the knowledge of the group, because at any given point, there has to be a minimum of 2 signatures approving any withdrawals from the group. Yeah.
Susan, I mean, this is a COVID period. With COVID-19 pandemic, I think a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of individuals, a lot of companies are feeling the strain of the impact of, you know, COVID-19. From your experience and from village banking, any particular, you know, support that comes in that regard from a, you know, a pandemic perspective?
So the experiences of the group as a result of the pandemic are that we've experienced lower savings because the business people are not able to travel to China, Dubai, or SA to bring their goods in so they can resell and make money. So they're not, apart from the lower savings, they're also not borrowing as much. Because even if I borrow today, where will I take the money? Nowhere. So that means instead of us, the group, making enough interest to share at the end of the year, we are going to see reduced interest rates. Although interest is not the primary reason. The primary reason for the group is to empower women with the ability to borrow. So now that's not happening because of COVID. So that's a challenge. But in any case, for the other thing we've seen also is that some members have lost their jobs, some on half pay, and some are just out of business altogether. So really that has put a strain on the group in the sense that the group has got some money which is not being borrowed when it's supposed to be borrowed. But that's okay. We'll deal with it, I suppose, so in the coming days when we see how the borders get unlocked or how else we can reinvent ourselves in order to continue to do business. Because, I mean, if COVID is going to be with us for a long time, does it mean that we'll stop doing business? No, we have to reinvent ourselves. So now, to address that issue within the group, we've decided that we have sessions when we can have finance talks, business talks, online actually, but just on WhatsApp. And these have given us a lot of value. And they're helping the members to not overspend, to become mindful about their financial health. And so we are trying to help the members to see how, with the COVID, we can still survive by being more prudent perhaps with our cash, with our finances, maybe how we can save more, maybe how we can be more thrifty in terms of how we use our finances, or else how we can reinvent ourselves and come up with other business strategies in order for us to be able to survive. So it won't just be about borrowing and saving, but how can we improve ourselves as well as a group or as an individual belonging to that group.
Right, wonderful. And one of our key, two of our key pillars from an Anakazi perspective is, yes, access to finance, because, we are a financial institution, but a key pillar that we also drive is access to knowledge. And so you can imagine with COVID-19, these webinars that we're now doing is really to be able to still give Anakazi women and any other women out there access to information and access to knowledge. So this conversation and the detail that you're giving us is so critical, and a session like this is so critical for that woman who's operating from home or has limitations with regards to movement because of COVID-19. Susan, what advice would you give village banking groups that want to grow? And I hear and I like that you've spoken about the structure, you've got the rules and regulations, and your village banking group has lasted this long with no default for such a long time because of those rules. And also you've got your banking in place, you've got transparency in your bookkeeping on who is borrowing, who is saving, and it's all transparent on your Stanbic Bank statement. What advice would you give a village banking group that wants to grow?
Well, based on my experiences so far, I think it's very important to get the key fundamentals right from the beginning. Who are going to be the members of that group? So the people that are going to become members of that group must be people of integrity. Because you can have a constitution, you have a watertight constitution, but if the members have no integrity, the constitution doesn't manage itself. Right. It's actually lived out and managed by the people who have acceded to it. So first and foremost, the members have to be members of integrity, and then they have to have a purpose for being part of that group. What is their purpose? Most of them have joined groups in order to grow themselves. In the group that I'm in, we've got professional women. We've got people who run pharmacies, who run businesses, fully fledged businesses. And it would be very interesting for you as a bank perhaps to visit our group and just see what sort of things.
They have you, Susan, as well.
Oh yes, they have me, and they are members, so they see me as an ordinary member. But if they see an entity such as this bank that is actually running a Chilimba program for women, it will be very good and helpful for them to see that actually what they are doing is not a small thing. We have professionals like medical doctors in the group. We have one of them that's running pharmacies, and what I've seen is that they'll come and borrow, go and buy their stock. Within the short period of time, say 3 months, they pay back. And the pharmacy is thriving, and they've opened another one. We've got another lady who runs a perfume shop. It's called Perfume Corner. If you go into her shop, it's fully stocked. Without realizing that she actually uses the proceeds or the borrowing from a village banking group, you would just wonder where she gets the money from to stock up her shop. Those are just two of them. There's some ladies who are in the business of going to China to bring stock. You would look at them as ordinary ladies, but when you actually see what these women are doing, it's so much more, and it feels so empowering for them and for all of us who are looking in. For some of us, we are professional women who go in there for saving, maybe with a view to paying off something big at a certain time. But there are so many women who are actually saving in small bits and pieces. But when you see the output, you will really be impressive. So it's the integrity, the strong rules that you put in there. Also, whoever joins has to be guaranteed by an existing member who has already been vetted, and you have your documentation. We do our own KYC and due diligence and make sure that it's on the record. In the event of default, we have a way in which we can recover. And for big borrowings, we've tried to gravitate towards seeing how we can secure ourselves by getting some collateral. But so far we haven't, because all the people that have borrowed big from the group, honorable people, and they've paid back. Currently, there are some members who've actually opted to not get any savings at the end of December last year, and are looking forward to getting their savings after a 2-year period, because by then they would have grown their money base.
Right.
Yeah, so it's simple rules like that, but they'll guarantee that you will grow and you will unlikely face any default or difficulties with the group in managing the members' savings.
So from an Anakazi banking perspective, I mean, the key statistics that we note of women, when you look at women, when you look at men, first of all, 3 out of 5 men actually do banking. When you come to women, it's, like 1 out of 5 women actually have, access to financing. And this is not financing borrowing. This is, day-to-day account and having an operating account. We also then noted that savings, from a savings perspective, more women actually are savers than the men. But again, when we drill into our banking portfolio of customers and you look at your non-performing loans, you see that, from a women perspective, they are actually a reduced level of non-performing loans. And to me, it sort of like, reflects into what you're talking about from a village banking perspective, which truly, in effect, is the reason why, as a bank, we're saying village banking is important in the market. How can we position ourselves to support village banking groups in a way that, they can be able to get their participation right, which is a key one that, I think you've spoken about. The rules that govern the group, right, ensuring that we can be able to provide the support through our Chilimba savings account so that there's transparency in all the transactions that are actually happening on a day-to-day basis. And you are able then to know who's borrowing, know who's paying, know who's actually saving and who's not saving, so that you can then be able to, as a group, take the right action, allowing you to be able to transact through our digital channels, because through the Chilimba and through a connecting account that you may have or may not have, because you can also do transfers from outside interbank or within the bank. The benefit that you get from doing it within the bank is that it's all free. So you can move money from one Stanbic account into the Chilimba account, and there's no fee to those transfers. And then you benefit from the actual transactional platforms, because then even when you're sitting in the group, you can actually do a transfer, and it actually reflects. And the key members, or maybe the designated EXCO members, would be able to pick it up and see that you've done a transfer, and supporting you to grow. Because that's a critical one for us as well, that we support village banking groups to grow, and which is why we offer some interest, depending on your balance, on that account. And we allow some free withdrawals, because we're also wary that you are savers. We allow some free withdrawals to enable you to also grow in that way. Yeah.
I think that's why for that particular group I'm talking about, we opted for Stanbic because of the flexibilities that they offered us.
So Susan, as we close, what would be your parking shots for village banking groups, our Anakazi banking women, our women and men at large around village banking?
Well, my encouragement is that these are groups that have given value to members, people who have joined the groups so far. There's a lot of flexibility in being a part of this group. You're able to make your decisions on the go, plan within a week, a month, in order for you to either borrow or not borrow, or how much you're going to save, and even plan for long term, medium, short to long term. You're able to do that. Not to undermine the groups as some sort of archaic system for people who are not exposed or people who are not educated. We have professional people in these groups, men and women who are professionals, like medical doctors, pharmacists, organic farmers, lawyers, accountants. They are actually run by professionals like accountants. They are the ones who are running these groups. They have seen the value of being members of this group. That's why they have joined. So for those who have not looked at it in that way, please look at it and see how you can also benefit yourselves and grow yourselves from being members of these small groups. They're not really small. Membership of up to 100, you can actually generate massive income and be able to manage your projects. So I would encourage people to join.
Thank you very much. And we thank you for joining us on this webinar. And to the viewers out there, village banking, we've seen a success story from Mrs. Susan Mulikita, who's part of 2 village banking groups, and one that actually has an account with Stanbic Bank. And the goodness is that they're seeing the benefit of that banking with Stanbic Bank. Just to emphasize that as a bank, we are focusing on women, and which is why we are focusing on Anakazi banking, and which is why we have this webinar today. But also that we're here to support village banking groups through our Chilimba savings account. We're here to support the members of the village banking groups as a group themselves, but also as individuals, whether from a savings perspective, whether from financial perspective, financial knowledge perspective. We're here to support you, and our commitment as a bank is that we will continue to support you. Thank you very much.
Zambia is my home.